to my YouTube channel. I am Nikki Oliveira. I am a menopause specialist, personal trainer, specialising in fat loss. And today I wanted to talk to you about hormones, because hormones in general, I mean, it's a very hot topic right now. Everyone's talking about hormones. Everyone's suddenly very aware about their own hormones and what we can do to balance them, just improve our overall health. So let's get started, shall we? First thing I want to say really is that our hormones are greatly impacted by our lifestyle. You know, the way that we choose to live our lives, the busyness, the way that we eat, the way that we control our stress. It's very impacted by just the way that we live life. I mean, if you think about our, aunties, uncles, mums, dads, their life compared to ours, completely different. Even kids of today, compared to 20, 30 years ago, they were more active. You would see a lot more kids like walking to school and things like that. Now everything is just busy, straight in the car, let's go. So, of course, with women working and in high powered positions, that's also changed the game a lot as well, because we are subject to a lot more stress than we've ever used to be. So when I talk about hormones, in menopause, we generally talk a lot about estrogen, progesterone and testosterone, but there are other hormones in our bodies that greatly impact us, such as our thyroid, cortisol, adrenaline, our insulin as well, and also our serotonin. So serotonin's a funny one. It's found and made in the gut, and it's responsible for our mood. But there's a very high linkage between our gut and emotionally how we feel. So when it comes to what we're putting into our bodies, it's very important that we are fueling our bodies with the right foods, because it does then obviously have a direct impact on how we feel. Similarly, cortisol and adrenaline they kind of work hand in hand. Adrenaline prepares the body for stress by elevating your heart rate, and then cortisol obviously kicks in. But cortisol is our main stress hormone. It's there to give us that fight or flight response to any situation. It keeps us safe. It also helps us wake up in the morning. So you'll find cortisol is at its highest in the morning. And I always say, especially to my clients, that's in the morning is the best time to use your cortisol. Exercising in the morning is a great way to use your cortisol, and obviously not having caffeine first thing in the morning, but having it maybe a couple of hours after you wake up can really help re-regulate your cortisol levels and bring it back down to where it should be. So that's a really important tip. We've got other hormones such as insulin, which is responsible for kind of managing our glucose levels, which again is very important, because when we eat certain foods, sugar-rich foods, highly processed foods, our cortisol spikes, and it kind of sends us on that sugar roller coaster throughout the day. So to combat that, would always say start your morning with a high protein and fibrous breakfast, and that will slow down your sort of glucose spikes from the get-go, because the minute that you start having a sort of sweet sugary breakfast, your insulin spikes, and then you when you come back down from that, then that's when you start getting the cravings that, oh, that was good, your body feels good on that, give me some more. And then that's when it starts mid-morning snacks, etc. And it goes on all day, and basically all you're doing is having a sugar hit, crashing, having a sugar hit, and then crashing again. So the best way to avoid that is by not having a sweet breakfast. So it's important to note it's not just females that have estrogen, progesterone and testosterone. Men have the same hormones too. Men just have these hormones in different doses. So the main one being testosterone, they've got, at least 3 times more than we do. At least. That's just, a very vague number. So yes, their main sex hormone is testosterone. However, females have it too. And it's very responsible for our energy levels, our sex drive, moods as well. So it's a very important sex hormone that we don't just focus on estrogen and progesterone, but testosterone is equally as important. So men do have estrogen and progesterone too, just very low levels of it. So when we come to talk about hormone imbalances, this obviously affects both men and women, because we've all got the same hormones in our bodies, right? So when it comes to talking about hormone imbalance, one of the questions that you may ask is, how do I know if I've got a hormone imbalance, or is it perimenopause? And it's a very good topic, a very good question to ask. And I'm going to list off some of the key differences between the two. So first of all, our hormone imbalances, it can happen at any age at all, at any point in our lives, for any periods of time, and it is caused by an abnormal level of our hormones. So back to what I was saying about, adrenaline, cortisol, insulin, thyroid, and then obviously our sex hormones. It's an imbalance of one or more of those. Okay, so what causes those imbalances then? So we want to look at our stress. It could be medications that we're on, our diet, our lifestyle in general. It could be that, a whole host of different things could be the cause of why you're having a hormone imbalance. So the symptoms then, like, how do you know that you've got a hormone imbalance? So you could be experiencing things like fatigue, problems with your sleep, mood swings, gut issues as well. So there's a whole host of symptoms why that will show up in your bodies to let you know that something's not quite right. And this is the reason also why I stress to women in particular that you should really get to know your body. Be very fine-tuned to know if something isn't quite right, whether that's journaling, writing down how you're feeling, if new things are cropping up, aches, pains, all those sorts of things, anything new. We should be inspecting our bodies anyway for anything new, rashes, those sorts of things, lumps, bumps. But particularly in the way that we feel, if it's something that's off and it's not usually that way, like an alarming and feeling of fatigue, for instance, is monitoring how long that goes on for, and is it constant? Does it kind of come in and out? It's really good to monitor these things. So that's kind of hormonal imbalances. But when we look at perimenopause, now perimenopause can occur from any age typically between 35 and 50. It can start earlier than that. You can go into premature perimenopause or straight into menopause, depending on what's happened. It could be medically induced by operations, like having a hysterectomy, for instance. It's generally perimenopause is a fluctuation of our sex hormones rather than all the other hormones. So it really, we're only focusing on estrogen, progesterone and testosterone when we look at perimenopause. It's a natural phase before menopause, and we know that menopause is 1 day, which marks 12 months plus 1 day that we haven't had a menstrual bleed. So it's a very distinct period, a natural period of a woman's life, that everyone will go through, whether they have significant symptoms or not, which of course leads me into the symptoms. So similarly to hormone imbalances, you can have mood swings and changes in your sleep. You'll also have changes in your menstrual cycle. You can have a heavier period, lighter, spontaneous, all these sorts of things. But it's also, it's our reproductive system aging. At the end of the day, it's, our ovaries aging. So this is why our hormones then are doing a dance, sometimes, hour to hour, day to day. We're really feeling those changes. So perimenopause can last anywhere from a few months to over a decade, 10 years plus for some women. And how they feel those symptoms can greatly vary from woman to woman. I know a lot of women say, oh, I breezed through menopause. I didn't really go through it. I kind of came past it really easily. And that's great for the woman that happens to. It just means that their symptoms were so mild that they didn't even really notice them, or didn't really have any symptoms at all. For others, their symptoms can be really debilitating, and it can really give them a really poor lifestyle, and really affect them in so many different ways, from their relationships to their work to just how they feel about themselves. So symptom management is key. So the differences between then hormone imbalances and perimenopause greatly comes down to the timing, the cause, and of course symptoms. So I hope that helps in determining where you're at, whether you've potentially got a hormone imbalance or are you indeed in perimenopause. For managing symptoms then, of either hormone imbalances or perimenopause, it greatly comes down to diet, exercise, and exercise includes general movement, how we manage our stress, and if we've got a certain symptom in particular, we can target those specific symptoms with either medication, such as hormone replacement therapy, or supplementation, if there's something in particular that's bothering us, there may be a specific supplement. For instance, if you've got issues with sleep, magnesium can really help you there. So when it comes to diet, I mean, we're looking for a diet rich in whole foods, vegetables, fruits, good water intake, you know, of around 3 litres. Everything basically that our body needs to feel nourished. Okay, good protein, good fibre, they are the key things that you're looking for at every meal, protein and fibre. And in terms of stress, stress can be managed in many different ways. It could be removing yourself from that stressful situation. It could be doing a simple quick breath work practice, whether that's, you know, box breathing or nasal breathing, belly diaphragmatic breathing. There's lots of different methods, and, you know, really filling up our own cup and practicing self-care can also manage stress. And when we come to exercise, I mean, there's no better medicine than getting outdoors in nature and going for a walk. It really has significant mental health improvements and benefits, and also that exposure, natural exposure to sunlight, really helps regulate our circadian rhythm and the production then of our sleep hormones as well. So that recognition between light and dark to regulate our sleep. So they're the key ones that I wanted to highlight to you. So I hope that you found this video really helpful and insightful. As always, if you want to reach out to me and ask me any questions, or if you want to work with me doing online coaching, then certainly do reach out to me on one of my channels, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, or by email, for instance. All of my links will be in the description. And if you don't already subscribe, please do subscribe and like this video, or even drop me a comment down below. It would be really appreciated, and I love your support and I love hearing from you all. So thank you so much, and we'll speak soon.